Welcome to Knackerbox Garage, a Scratchy Pants production.
Right, so here we go. It's still got some gearbox oil on it. Obviously I need to fix this leak under the kickstart. So I'll order those bits, like I said, in the last segment. The clip broke. I was doing the clip up and it broke, which may explain why it was loose-ish when I first did it. So luckily I've got like a bag of them in my drawer. So I pulled another one out and that's on there. So now the pipe is, as you can see, not as kinked. It's doesn't loop around the other one. Everything is good, apart from the kickstart oil leak, which isn't really something I was planning on getting into, but I guess I will be on this because it won't do any good to just leave it like that. It's going to throw gearbox oil everywhere. So having got it relatively clean and nice, I should fix it, which means gearbox cover off, foot peg off, clutch disassembled, gear shaft off. I think this one, I'm trying to think whether I've done this one or not. Definitely a new cotter pin, so I'll order 2 of those. Yeah, so some stuff to order. I've got the cover gasket, I know that. It's interesting, this is studded and I'm wondering whether I should have studs on my 2140. I've actually got bolts, but I'm wondering if it should be studded. This is much nicer. Anyway, the 2140 is back together, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I will order those parts, come back to this. I'm trying to think what I've got as the next project. I've got, let me have a look, let me think out loud. What have I got to do as the next project? Tiger and KTM both need a clean. KTM definitely more so because I don't think it's cleaned since Ian and I did the big ride, Scratchy Pants big ride. I did take it for an inspection and I know it needs rear brake shoes, pads, rear pads. So I need to put new rear pads in it, might as well put new front pads in it. Needs service because it needs, I think we did do kind of like a street oil change by topping it up because it uses a bit of oil. And of course we flushed the oil on day one, well, after somebody forgot to put the clutch master cylinder on tightly. Won't be doing that again. Yeah, I think that's it. Then I've got, that's all on the KTM. The Tiger's all serviced. The BSA, we've got a $1,000 bike challenge ride coming up in May, kind of like a teaser, end of April, early May, or late May, after the club season opener ride, where I hope to be riding the Moto Guzzi, unless it's really bloody cold, in which case I'll ride the Tiger and use my heated gear. And then it'll be the Bultaco will go on the stand because I've got to finish the bash plate. Got to finish fabbing the bash plate. While the KTM's on, I may reinforce the bash plate on that. It needs side pieces because it's pretty floppy. So I may just make some side pieces out of aluminum and then weld them on. Now I've discovered the beauty of AC sine wave TIG welding for aluminum. So see how much of a arse I can make of that. I've got some aluminum sheet. I can practice my aluminum welding on the Bultaco bash plate, and then I can do the KTM. It's bash plates ahoy. In talking of bash plates, really, this thing should have a bash plate. And I'm just wondering if I could fix one in. I could. Yeah, do I need to? I don't know. I could put one on, but is it just vanity? Because it's not going off-road. Yeah, I'll think about that. I like the way it looks at the moment. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe no bash plate for the Rickman. Right, I'll order some parts and then we'll come back when I'm ready to do the gearbox oil seal. Hey, so let's see. Bit of a lunchtime break. I'm actually... I've been doing this several times. This is a hummingbird, and it's going to screw into a flower that I'm making. just so it's mounted. And then this flower, obviously I've got to bend it, and it's just sitting there because I've been tacking it up. But I've got to, this is the flower stem, I've got to bend it round, put some leaves on, need some more petals on it to make it a little bit bigger. Then I need a stand, probably going to be an old B25 clutch basket, maybe with a few things, and then maybe make another one of these flowers just to have another one, maybe at the side. I have to see how the balance of this is, because this is quite hefty, so what I may have to do is just bend the flower stem down underneath. We'll see. It's only supposed to be a hummingbird drinking from a flower, but that's it. Let's see. Progress on the Rickman. Still haven't ordered the stuff yet, but I'll get to it. Right, so here we are looking at the Rickman. I've got to pull this off, so I've got to get in here and pull off the footrest. So just going to undo these. Get the footrest off, then I can take off the, just pulled that off too early, and get to the, get up to kickstart and the, one of my drawing blanks, and I'm trying to say gear shaft, but gear shifter. I've ordered the parts for this. One of the interesting things about this particular engine, it's from a time Triumph had a novel way of doing part numbers. They had like an area. I think it's pretty common in industry. They had like an area code at the start, and it used to be T for transmission, E for engine, and then it moved to, I think it's 70 is engine and 57 is transmission. So the part numbers for the seals and everything that I want for the transmission are like, the seal is T1955, which then becomes 57-1955, and I couldn't find anything that clamps for those, and I'm sure it's the same on the T140. It's the same size, although I just can't be 100% sure, so I need to be careful. So I've ended up ordering all the parts for this from the Bonneville shop, which is another good place to buy your bits for Bonneville. So even though this is a TR6 trophy engine, they do have early there we go. Oh, I forgot washer. Put that on there. They're not really very big washers. And I'll just wipe the oil off my hands for 2 seconds, because if you look here now, you can probably see that, but you can see the difference. Here's the original finish for the nickel. When it was new, it's been protected, and this is what it's like when it weathers. Kind of like the older satiny, almost, aged nickel. This is too shiny for me. Oh, and its oil is just falling off it. Yeah, maybe there's, oh, it's that guy. That guy had some oil on it as well. That's that's the dip tube. So the top one is the big thread, so there's a dip tube in there for gearbox level, and then this one is the drain plug. So a dip tube is a hollow tube that sets the level. Then you undo this, pour oil until it drips out, and then you tighten that up. That's good. And then if you want to drain it, you undo this guy, which I will be doing. And then this guy is he's the indent. There's a plunger for the gear cam, for the cam plate for the gears, or selector plate. That's the plunger. There's a spring loaded thing there, and it looks like we've got a spacer in there. I did tighten all these. We saw me do that. So now it's just a case we pull off this. I don't think I've got a 7/16 with me, but I'll get one. I will wipe down I have wiped down the inside of this to get all the oil off it. And away we jolly well go. We'll start taking it apart. Kickstart will come off. I'll do the usual disconnect the clutch cable. I really need something to hold that out of the way. Maybe put a spring on it or something just to stop it melting onto the exhaust pipe. Yeah, should really trim up the length of these as well because they're way too long. There's tons of little jobs I should do on this, really, to be honest, that I really should do. I should, one day at a time. Right, so I've taken the gear shifter off. I've loosened up the kickstart. I did take the pin out, but I'm going to leave it on because I want to take the pressure off when we pull the cover off. I can't get to this guy. Well, I can, but what I can't do is withdraw it because it's got a big dip tube on it because this frame rail is in the way. So I'm going to end up draining the gearbox oil by basically breaking the case and letting it all dribble into the pan, which is a pain in the rear because it's going to go over everything. I don't really want to take the engine out to get to this, which is the only option because I've got that frame rail. And of course I'm not going to take a hacksaw to it. Yeah, that would just be dumb because it's the main footrest support. But anyway, at some point, if these turn out to be the sources of my oil leaks, this may have to I'll have to strip this further than I thought. Anyway, so I'll disconnect the clutch like I did on Lucy, the 750 Bonnie T140. Undo this, slacken off the clutch cable, pull the nipple out, and then just pull the cable out of the way. Slacken off everything with the oil pan underneath and let it all drain. Let the gearbox oil drain. I have ordered all the parts. I've ordered all the parts, so they should be coming early next week. We've got a public holiday Monday. I've taken the opportunity to take Tuesday off. So there are opportunities for me to do some stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to go and get the oil pan, and then we'll start taking stuff apart. So just pulling the clutch cable off, and I don't know whether you can notice that there's a little strand there that's come loose of the nipple. So probably going to end up replacing the clutch cable. Knowing my luck, it's probably, oh no, maybe it isn't tied. Is it cable tied in? Oh, there's a cable tie up there, it's loose. But I can do that. So, one strand, it's only a moment of time before the others go. I think this is fairly original. But, yeah, I'll make a new inner. The outer's probably perfect. I think my inner stuff will fit. Hopefully I can sweat the nipple off up at the cable. If not, I can always just buy a new TR6 trophy clutch cable. Although I like making mine because I use the Van Hill stuff and that's pretty good. But yeah, so clearly this was it's time to come off, and actually probably more than one frame by the look of it. But yeah, that was a good find. Okay, so I may have done it again by pulling off the cover without sharing it. There wasn't really much to it actually, I just kind of oiled it off and it ultimately came off. What's interesting is there's been sealant around. There's sealant in some of the threads, like the sealant there, that's a piece of sealant. There's quite a bit of aluminum filings. Let me, don't know whether this is going to help or not, but you can see there's flakes of aluminum there, and there's normal like metally sludge. That looks like a little bit. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know whether that's just... Yeah, I don't know. I think the gasket has been on and off. You can see where there's been gasket sealant. I think it's been put together again with an old gasket in that had a tear in it, which is probably why it didn't hold as much gearbox oil as it should. And we'll clean up the surfaces. Haven't really looked that hard under this. I just laid it down so it would drain out. What I did notice was, you can see it here, the spring, the pin for the spring is bent. I should be able to heat that up and pull that out, straighten it, and then put it back in and seal it in. This quadrant has to come off, which will come off with the kickstart. Looking at the 3-ball, yeah, that's good. That's in good condition. So it just needs a clean up, really. I've got gaskets, bushings, seals on the way. I've got a new kickstart bush. We did that on the T140. I'll clean all this up, get the pull the flakes out. You can see it's still holding some gearbox oil in the back there, and I'll just wipe all this clean. I don't want to spray a lot of degreaser in there and end up pushing stuff into the main gearbox. So I think the aluminium flakes have come from this side, from maybe a kickstart teeth quadrant issue or something. I'll figure it out when I get into this. But right now, things aren't looking too bad. The flakes are something, but I'm seriously not too worried about it. I'll wipe it all up. We'll get the gasket off. We'll wash this off, pull the kickstart and the shaft out, and then I'll bring it back. And now I'm going to put an oily. I'll swap hands and do this with my clean hand to turn off my GoPro. Bit of an artistic interlude. I'm making some artwork for a show called the Flower Show, which involves things with flowers in them. And one of the things I've made is this hummingbird drinking from a flower. And I'm making a base for it because the B25 clutch basket doesn't quite cut it. So I'm using, and I mention this because this is I think Ken Roberts. Yeah, Kenny Roberts. Yeah, obviously a different Kenny Roberts. Ken Roberts gave me this. This is a Street Cup exhaust pipe, I think. And what I've done is bunched it together so it's coming up kind of yellow submarine-y. I mean, this is the base. Obviously, I'm just about to tee it all up. But the rod that this on slides right between these three, and I'll tack it in there at the top somehow. I'm actually may actually cheat and use epoxy, but I thought I'd give it a little bit of artistic interlude. Knackerbox Garage isn't always about motorcycles. It's about art and culture as well, and I think it's very important you remember that. So we're looking at the kickstart return spring pin. So what happened with that? The old pin had got broken somehow. It looks like there's been some levering. I think sit there on the aluminum. So what I did, because the hole was slightly wonky, I've cleaned it out with a 3/16 drill, because it's a 3/16 shaft, and then or hole or pin that was in there, and then put an expanding one of those spring pins in there, punch that in there. That's in there good and tight, and that'll hold the kickstart return spring in place. And if it turns out to be slightly too long, I can always just take the grinder and just take the top off. So that's that fixed. Now all we're really waiting for is the knee bush and then the outer cover and the seal. Probably pry that out, but I haven't got the tools in my hand to do it, so I'll leave it for a little bit. But that'll be the next thing, and then I'll give this a bit of a clean up. As you can see, it's polished nicely. It just needs to be, I'd sooner it was oil tight rather than shiny. Oil tight is great, shiny and leaking oil, not so much. So one of the other things, while I'm still waiting for Triumph parts, is looking at the goos. So this rear light is off a Honda. You can see it's fractured just here and there where it's been pulled down, and obviously this was done, I'm guessing quite a while ago. I don't know why. I really don't know why that was swapped out. So I did get the original SEV, CV, CE, AV tail light. I know it's a bit rusty in the back here, but the chrome and everything, yeah, CEV, SEV. It looks good. I mean, I just put it together lightly. I've just pulled it apart to have a look at it. The lens is really good. The reflector for the light, or the clear piece for the light, the number plate is good. It was the light that was on the bike. Kind of thinking I'd like to put the original one back on, because I kind of like that. It's original. There is nothing wrong with this one. It works. It's all set up. It's ready to go. Like, why are you messing around with stuff? I'm not sure I can really answer that. I just would like to get it back to original. That's a nice big tail light. That's the only thing. The CV one is a little smaller. If I was going to put it on, I'd probably put on an LED light. I've got LED rear light. This has an LED tail light in it. The Bonneville has an LED tail light in it, and on the Bonneville it's superb. But I've also, the light's kind of angled up a little bit, so I shorten the guard so the light's moved up, so it tends to shine up into the face of anybody who's behind you, which is good because it allows, I'm touching wood, it allows people to see me. So do I screw with this, or do I leave it alone? And now I'm saying it out loud. It passed this inspection. Maybe I just leave it like this and not play with it and just ride the bloody thing. Maybe that's what I should be doing. So what I'll probably do is end up putting that, this is a long interlude, it's taking time up on the video really. But I like to think out loud sometimes and see what I get. And what I'm getting from this is just leave it like it is for the moment, which I will do. So I'm going to put that light back together on the Triumph. Let's go back to the Rickman. So I try to get the metal cover off this thing. It is in there so tight. I did manage to get the O-ring out. I pulled it out with a pick. It's supposed to be a soft ring. That is like it's like, well, it's like gasket material. It's so stiff and old. That's probably why it's just leaking. So I've just blown it out with WD-40 to clean it up. I've got an O-ring somewhere from when I did the Bonneville. I bought 2 seals. I am pretty confident it's the same seal. I've got some coming to replace it. So I've got one. I might as well see if I can pop it in there without taking this cover off or this holder off. Just work it in, and I think that'll be it. And then I'll be able to put the kickstart assembly back together, and then I'm just waiting for the gasket. Although I have a gasket as well, so I may just put it all back together. But if I do that, I will record it. But what I'm going to do now is get that cross ring or X ring, because it's an X section, and do that. And then I'll leave you with my finished Hummingbird. I'm kind of proud of that. The base from my mate Ken Roberts, who I think I probably said that 2 clips ago, didn't I? Anyway, if I didn't, Ken, thank you. Your Street Cup, Twin Cup, Street, Twin, whatever it is, the 900 Triumph. These were the stock pipes off it, I think. And They've turned out really well, making this absolutely very weird base for this thing, which I rather like. It's unique. Cool.